Piper, look at this comment.
Is Piper joining the Bop House?
Oh my god, I mean, like, people want me to, like, no, girl.
I mean, like, come on.
You're not even 18.
Say a little prayer for you. A moment I wake up.
But people are literally waiting for Piper to drop one, and she's 17 and a minor. It's weird. And then there have been people commenting on the Bop House post, and buy Piper, because they want her to drop.
How much fucking money are you guys making? And give me a PR answer. You don't have to actually, like,
No,
I want to hear more about it.
Personally, I can speak for me. Well, Sophie, I think, is at 3-4 mil a month. That she's doing really, really well.
Piper Rockelle just got invited to the Bop House, and guess what? Her mom approved it. Why? Well, let's be real. Money talks, and Piper's been a social media cash cow for a while now. But here's the issue. She is barely legal. And if you know anything about the Bop House, that's kind of their whole motto. This so-called Gen Z Playboy mansion has been making waves for all the wrong reasons. And Piper's mom, oh, she is no stranger at the controversy. She is already knee-deep in lawsuits, accused of some heinous things when it comes to managing her daughter's career. So the fact that she's greenlighting Piper's involvement in this space, yeah, it's raising a lot of red flags. But to really understand how bad this is, you gotta know what the Bop House is actually about. The Bop House is a so-called collaborative living space in Florida, founded in December 2024. On paper, it's supposed to be a content house for female influencers, similar to the Hype House or Team 10. But here's where things take a turn. This isn't just about social media clout. The Bop House was built by OnlyFans creators Sophie and Aishah Sofey, and let's just say their target audience isn't exactly watching for family-friendly content. The term BOP stands for baddie on point. Sounds harmless, right? Well, in Gen Z slang, it's often used to describe women who make money off of their bodies. Sometimes it's empowering, but other times it is just straight up pejorative. And with the way the Bop House operates, it's hard to tell which side of the spectrum they actually fall on. Now, let's talk about the two women behind this operation. Sophie is a 20-year-old OnlyFans model who is raking in serious cash. Her whole brand is playing up the innocent good girl trope while still profiting off of adult content. She literally calls herself a Christian virgin, which is wild when you consider where her money comes from. Alongside her cousin, 22-year-old Aishah Sofey, Sophie co-founded the Bop House as a so-called safe space for female content creators. Their goal? To build a community where girls can cross-promote and grow their platforms on OnlyFans, TikTok, and Instagram. But let's not sugarcoat it, this place is designed to funnel young, attractive women into an industry that profits off of their looks. And that's exactly why people are side-eyeing Piper Rockelle's involvement. The Bop House currently houses 8 women between the ages of 19 and 24. Some of the most notable names include Alina Rose, Camilla Arjo, Julia Filippo, Summer Iris, Ava Reyes, and Joy Me. Each of these girls brings something different to the table, some doing gaming streams, some sharing personal narratives, and some, well, they cater to a much more adult audience. The whole point is to create a diverse but engaging content mix, but let's not pretend it's all harmless. The branding of this house is built around youth, desirability, and the illusion of innocence, which makes Sophie Rain's whole Christian virgin angle even worse. Sophie Rain has made her fortune by leaning into the good girl gone viral trope. She pushes this whole idea that she's innocent, untouched, but still making millions on OnlyFans. And let's just be real, that duality is exactly why her audience keeps coming back. Critics have called her out for playing into an obsession with youth and purity. She is literally capitalizing on the idea of being young and untouchable while still profiting off of a platform that caters to adult fantasies. And what's worse, she's actively inviting other girls to do the same.
Sophie, I've heard you've gotten a lot of offers from different people.
Multiple companies actually offered me 7 figures to take my V card.
Which brings us right back to Piper Rockelle. Let's be honest, Piper's been groomed for this industry since she was a little one. She's been in the social media game for years, and her mom has been managing her career in ways that have already sparked lawsuits. So seeing her get involved with the Bop House, it's not just concerning, it's disturbing. She's barely legal, and this space is designed to push young women into monetizing their desirability, and yet her mom approved it. But here's where things start looking real shady. Technically, everyone in the Bop House is a legal adult, but if you actually look at the girls they bring in, yeah, they don't exactly look like adults. Many of these women lean hard into their innocent schoolgirl or babyface aesthetic, dressing in plaid skirts, using soft, high-pitched voices, and branding themselves in ways that make them look way younger than they actually are. And people have noticed. I mean, we've got members like Joy who left because she didn't like what was going on.
Also, the reason that like I left the Bop House as well, and everyone's saying like, why are you not accepting the Bop House girls' apology? They're all apologizing to you. They're all apologizing to you. You're so rude. You're so rude. I told them, hey, I don't think this is cool if we did something like this, and then they found different ways to go around what I said and went off a technicality.
Critics have called this out as softcore grooming, saying it plays into a dangerous trend of sexualizing teen aesthetics for profit, blurring the line between young adult content and what appeals to creeps, pushing the idea that barely legal is hot and marketable. And let's be real, this isn't an accident. The entire branding of the Bop House leans into this youthful but sexy look because it's lucrative. But when you mix that with Piper Rockelle's involvement, it gets even worse. And it gets even creepier. There are online whispers that older men in the adult content industry have connections to the Bop House. Some critics believe these men are working behind the scenes, scouting young, baby-faced girls and encouraging them to move into this content creator environment. And get this, multiple TikTokers and Twitter users have claimed that girls as young as 17 were being watched online before suddenly getting invites once they turned 18. The tactics being used here mirror sketchy modeling industry tactics where scouts preyed on young girls before they were even legal. There are unconfirmed rumors that former adult producers are lurking in the background pulling the strings. Now, nothing has been proven yet, but if this is even partially true, it confirms what a lot of people have been suspecting. This house isn't just a content collective, it's a pipeline. And Piper, she's walking straight into it. With all this barely legal branding, guess what kind of audience they've attracted? Exactly the type you'd expect. The Bop House has reportedly had older men showing up uninvited to the mansion, fans stalking the girls' movements online and in real life, and girls needing private security guards just to leave the house safely. And what does that tell us? That despite all the talk about female empowerment, the reality is much darker. These girls are young, vulnerable, and constantly being watched by an audience that doesn't always have good intentions. But because they're making millions, people just look the other way. Now, let's talk numbers, because this is why Piper's mom is totally fine with her joining. In just 1 month, the Bop House has reportedly pulled in a staggering $10 million. And for the individual girls, the earnings are wild. Sophie Rain alone has allegedly made $43 million in under a year on OnlyFans. Some members are reportedly clearing hundreds of thousands per month. And let's be honest, that's exactly why Piper's mom is okay with this. She sees the huge paychecks and doesn't seem to care where they come from.
Aishah, how much did you make last month?
Like around 2.5 months.
Do you feel poor yet? Because I do. Jujubine. How much did you make last month? $600. Remember we used
Because
to
of you!
I wouldn't be here without you. Okay, how much did you make last month?
I just made $100K last month.
Yes! Okay. How much did you make last month?
1 million.
Alright, next person. Alright, how much did you make last month? 6 million. Alright, next person.
But is Piper really choosing this life, or is she just another young girl being pushed into an industry she might not fully understand? At first glance, this whole situation seems too crazy to be real. A Gen Z Playboy mansion, Piper Rockelle being sent there with her mom's approval, older men allegedly lurking behind the scenes? But when you look at the history of allegations against Piper's mom, Tiffany Smith, it kind of makes sense, because this isn't the first time people have accused her of exploiting young girls, and if we rewind a few years, we will see that the warning signs were already there. Back in 2022, 11 former members of Piper's influencer squad took Tiffany Smith to court, and the allegations were shocking. They weren't just saying that she was a tough manager, they were saying that she made disturbing comments about their bodies, encouraged inappropriate outfits and dancing for views, and created a toxic, emotionally harming environment and verbally mistreated them off camera.
All of our innocence was just swiped from us.
She would like run around and say sexual things to you.
And it wasn't just the little ones who complained. Their parents also said that their offsprings were left with anxiety, PTSD, and trauma from working with Tiffany.
I 100% think that Tiffany exploited our children for monetary gain.
Some even left social media entirely because of the emotional damage. And the worst part, the lawsuit was settled for $1.85 million, meaning there's probably still more to uncover, but we'll never get to know. Now, let's get this one thing straight. No one is accusing Tiffany of actually pimping out her daughter, but the way that she's managed Piper's brand, yeah. People had a lot to say about it. Think about it. Piper was constantly dressed in revealing outfits. Even as a teen, her video thumbnails often looked suggestive. And if you don't believe me, go look for yourself, because some are wild. Also, the comment section was full of disturbing messages from grown men. But what did she do? Instead of protecting Piper, Tiffany allegedly encouraged it for virality.
Were you ever asked to pose provocatively or to wear things you were uncomfortable wearing?
Oh yeah, Tiffany would always tell me to go up into Piper's closet and get something that's more tight and revealing.
People on Reddit, YouTube, and TikTok have called this out for years. Some have even said it looked like Tiffany was sexualizing her own daughter for profit. And when you actually go back and look at the old thumbnails and titles, yeah, it's hard to unsee. So when people found out Tiffany approved of Piper moving into the Bop House, it was less of a shock and more of a confirmation of what they already suspected. Now, I bet you remember all those kids who used to be a part of Piper's squad. They were everywhere with her. But then, one by one, they all started leaving.
All these happy kids when like behind the scenes, that's not how we all were. We're stressed out crying and being in these videos because you're yelling at us, and it's not fair.
And when they left, they started dropping hints that Tiffany was the reason. Simone Harrison's family came forward saying Tiffany created a hostile, toxic environment. Another squad member's mom called Tiffany a monster in legal documents. If you ever scroll far enough through Piper Rockelle's YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, the red flags are blinding. And the worst part, they've been there for years. We're talking clickbait titles about dating and kissing as a literal underage, dancing videos featuring adult songs and mature outfits, TikToks that don't even look like they're meant for little ones. They're performing for grown men. And the common denominator in all of this, Tiffany was behind the camera the entire time. She's the one filming, editing, and approving all of this content before it ever goes online. So at this point, fans and critics alike started calling it what it is. This wasn't just bad parenting, this was full-blown exploitation. So how has Tiffany Smith responded to the backlash? She hasn't. No apology, no explanation, no nothing. Just business as usual. Like there even wasn't a whole lawsuit against her. And Piper, yeah, she's still making content with the members of the Bop House. Despite the backlash, despite the lawsuit, despite everything.
Say a little prayer for you. A moment I wake up,
At this point, it is clear the money is too good, and Piper cannot wait until she turns 18 and takes full control of her brand and potentially joins the OnlyFans industry with Mummy Dearest behind the camera as usual. So what happens now? This whole situation is messed up from every angle, but it leaves us with some serious questions. Why is Piper's mom still in control of her career when there was a whole lawsuit against her? Should platforms like YouTube and TikTok be stepping in when underage influencers are being exploited like this? And what does it say about the internet when barely legal is literally a business model now? I need y'all to sound off in the comments because this is wild. And if you want to stay tapped into all the latest tea on stories like this, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on your notifications. Trust me, we are just getting started.